Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha our Moshiach, his voice. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah our mighty one is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to ask the $1,000,000 question. Are there different species of humans on this planet? What sparked this question? Someone asked me a question on the comment board. Aren't we all the same? Don't we all descend from Noah? Aren't we all human beings? It is impossible for me to answer their question with a few lines of text. In order to answer their questions and be thorough about it, I have to create a whole series. But this question is huge and is something that we need to know. This video is created for educational purposes only. We are trying to educate the masses. We need to know the truth. The only thing that this world has taught us is lies. Even the Europeans, you have been lied to by your own people. We have been lied to by your people. All of the information that we receive, we got it from them. But now, these are the last days. Everything that has been hidden must be revealed. Knowledge is greatly increased. There is no excuse for not knowing this information. Now, I don't want you to accept it straight out once I say it, even though I'm going to show you also. I want you to do your own independent research so that you can see that I am not biased or racist or prejudice in my presentation, but I'm going to show you the facts. Where are we going to find these facts? We're going to look in the scripture. We're going to use science. We're going to go to nature. And we're going to use history. Now look at these two pictures. I asked my wife to choose a picture of a beautiful black man and a beautiful white man. This is what she chose. Let's look at some differences that are obvious. Hair. The black man has less keratin. He has what we call that nappy hair. The white man has more keratin. He has straight hair. We call it that good hair. What about the eyes? The black man has dark brown eyes full of melanin. And the white man has gray eyes, blue eyes, green eyes, light hazel eyes. We call it those pretty eyes. The black man's nose is wider, nostrils more spread. The white man's nostrils are more restricted. His nose is more pointy. What about the lips? The black man's lips are much more fuller, and the white man's lips are smaller. Now let's look at the real obvious thing. Skin color. The black man's skin is full of melanin, and the white man's skin has less melanin. He is closer to an albinoid creature. Now that we've seen those differences, straight away, brothers and sisters, you can make this assumption. We are not the same. Now, let's see what the scripture has to say about this subject. Genesis chapter 3, verse 14 to 15. Let's lay the foundation. Verse 14. And Yahuwah, the mighty one, said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this. What did the serpent do? He beguiled the woman to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. Verse 15. And I will put enmity, the word enmity means hatred, between thee, who is thee, pointing to the serpent, and the woman, who is the woman, pointing to Eve. And between thy seed is the seed of the serpent, and her seed is the seed of the woman, Eve. Hold it. Did you see that? It's been here all along. It tells you that there's two bloodlines that would be upon the earth from the very beginning. The serpent seed and the seed of the woman, which is the seed of Adam, because a woman doesn't have any seed. So she got her seed from her man, Adam. Are you seeing this? So right away in Genesis, it explains to you two bloodlines would be upon the earth. Why don't we believe this? If you believe the Bible for your salvation, you have to believe that the Bible is revealing some truths that now we're coming to grips with because knowledge is greatly increased. It shall bruise thy head. What is it? The seed of the woman is going to bruise the head of the serpent. And thou shalt bruise his heel. The seed of the serpent is going to bruise the heel of our Mashiach. This is the prophecy of the coming of the Mashiach to save his people, his bloodline. Brothers and sisters, can you see this? Right away, I want to ask you a question about this prophecy. Who carried out the bruising of the heel of our Mashiach? What group of people murdered him? The ball is in your court. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 to 4. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, verse 2, that the sons of Yah, the angels, the watchers, saw the daughters of men. So you see it's two separate groups, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Verse 3. And Yahuwah said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Because of what the angels did, the Father shortened the lifespan of men. Just think, if these fallen ones were allowed to live for 1,000 years or so, think of the chaos that would have ensued. Yet his days shall be 120 years. That is our lifespan. Verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that. Stop for a second. There were giants in the earth before the flood. Also after the flood. When the sons of Yah came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. How many bloodlines do you see on the earth now? The seed of the woman, the seed of the serpent, and the seed of the fallen angels. 3 bloodlines, brothers and sisters. Let's drop down to verse 8. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahuwah. These are the generations of Noah. See the word generations? It should be, these are the bloodlines of Noah, the DNA of Noah, the Y chromosome of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his DNA, in his bloodlines. And Noah walked with Yah. That's why he found favor. Because the whole world had been corrupted by an angelic genome, and Noah's DNA, his bloodline, was still pure. Verse 10. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Verse 11. The earth was also corrupt before Yah, and the earth was filled with violence. Why? Because these angels came down and had sex with the daughters of men. There was a mutation. They had no morals. They were violent. Verse 12. And Yah looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. What was corrupt? The people. For all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. All DNA was corrupted by this angelic genome. They had spread this angelic genome around the planet. But look, there was still a pure bloodline human left who could trace their lineage all the way back to Adam. Who is that person? Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Enoch chapter 6, verse 1 to 4. Isn't it incredible that the book of Genesis started in chapter 6 to speak about these angels, and the book of Enoch starts at chapter 6 to speak about these angels. And they're both going to say the same thing. This is how you validate the book. You have to do comparisons. It's obvious that the ones who threw it away didn't do that. They just didn't like what it said because it reveals too much. And it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them, verse 2, beautiful and comely daughters. Didn't Genesis say the same thing? That there were born fair, beautiful women unto men? And the angels, you see, now it tells you exactly who the people are. Didn't say the sons of heaven, but it says the angels. Then it says the children of heaven saw and lusted after them. and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men. Verse 3. And beget us children. And Samyaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not. Verse 4. Indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of this great sin. Was this transgression of the law of Moses? No, it was not. It was transgression of the law, but this law is written on the tablets in heaven, that angels cannot cohabit with the daughters of men. And they all answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual imprecations. Note, I'm going to tell you something, brothers and sisters, that maybe you did not know. This is a strategy by Satan. Haven't linked it to him yet, but I want you to understand what was going on. If you corrupt the DNA of man and introduce another DNA from either the serpent or from the fallen angels, there could be no Mashiach. The Mashiach has to come to redeem the children of Adam. Do you understand? He cannot redeem the children of Adam unless he's pure bloodline. This is why you have so many lineages in the Bible, and they tell you that this person can trace their roots all the way back to Noah, and then Noah can trace his roots all the way back to Adam. If this is interrupted, there is no Mashiach. Men will not be able to be redeemed, and the fallen ones. And the serpent would rule this planet for who knows how long. But note, Satan knew about the Mashiach coming. In Genesis, during the curse, he was told what is going to happen to him. That in the end, that seed that would come from the woman down through the generations would destroy him. Verse 5, I hope that you're seeing how Genesis chapter 6 and Enoch chapter 6 are saying the same thing. They said the book of Enoch is not a valid text. It's apocryphal. But when you check it out for yourself, you'll find those things are not true. The book of Enoch lines up with the rest of the book. Now, why do you think they took this book out? Could it be that it's talking about a bloodline that they don't want you to know about? Verse 5, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then swear they all together and bound themselves. Verse 6, by mutual imprecations upon it. And they were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared, on the summit of Mount Hermon. And they called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn, verse 7, and bound themselves by mutual imprecations upon it. And these are the names of their leaders. Samlazaz, their leader. Arakalbah, Ramael, Kokablel, Tomlel, Ramlel, Danel, Ezekiel, Barakiel, verse 8, Asael, Amaros, Batarel, Ananel, Zakiel, Samsapiel, Satarel, Turel, Yamyael, Sariel. These are their chiefs of 10. These, brothers and sisters, are the Elohim. See, they have El at the end of their name. Some of them have Yah, but most of them have El at the end of their name. When you speak of Elohim, it is plural. The Elohim are these angels, watchers, that decided to come and give themselves over to this sin, this great sin that was written in the tablets of heaven, that you were not to cohabit with women. You were supposed to serve them, not go into them. So when you say Elohim, don't call the mighty one Elohim, because he is not. Eloah, singular, yes. Elohim, plural, no. These are your Elohim. Enoch, chapter 7, verse 1 to 6. Let's continue. Verse 1. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, 200 of them, and each chose for himself one. And they began to go in unto them, and to defile themselves with them, and they taught them charms. Let's just stop here at taught them charms. Do you see it says defile themselves? Inside a woman's vagina is a bacteria. This bacteria brings forth life. The angels, or the watchers, were pure. Once they went into women and touched this bacteria, they became defiled. They could no longer enter into the kingdom of heaven. Let me give you another example of the priesthood. If the priest or the Levite had sex with their wife before it was their time to go into the temple to do their service, they had to wait 3 days, and then they had to go into a ritual cleansing before they can even enter into the gates. Do you understand that? Because they were defiled. They were unclean. Now just think about the angels who were never supposed to have sex with women. They were unclean and they lost their place in heaven because they did this deed. I must say something here. Brothers and sisters, the most powerful creature on this planet is the woman. Get that in your head. Let's continue. And they taught them charms, verse 2, and enchantments, and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they, verse 3, became pregnant, and they bare giants, whose height was 3,000 ells. 3,000 ells is about 450 feet tall. This translation is incorrect. I found other translations that say 300 cubits, which means that they were as tall as a building, who consumed, verse 4, all the acquisitions of men. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against, verse 5, them and devoured mankind. Look at that. They couldn't supply enough food for them. When they couldn't, the giants turned on them and had barbecued men. And they began to sin against birds and beasts and reptiles. And verse 6, fish, and to devour one another's flesh. Cannibals, brothers and sisters, and drink the blood. Then the earth, nature, laid accusation against the lawless ones. Do you see that? A great evil was introduced upon this earth when these angels came and had sex with the daughters of men. These were monsters. We know it's a monster. They were eating men. We've seen movies about this. How the giants would come and snatch a man and just bite his head off and chew it just like he's eating a Hershey's candy bar. Numbers chapter 13, verse 30 to 33. We're building a foundation here. What I'm trying to show you is that the Bible, our book, reveals that there are other bloodlines upon this earth. If this book says so, why is it that you don't believe this? I've spoken to pastors and teachers, and they don't believe the book of Enoch. They don't believe Genesis chapter 6. They think that someone must have put it in here. But we have more than two witnesses. It says out of the mouth of 2 and 3 witnesses. We're still going through the witnesses. Verse 30. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it. Possess what? The promised land. For we are well able to overcome it. Verse 31. But the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people. Why is that? For they are stronger than we. Verse 32. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, the children of Yasharah, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. Stop right here. Stop, brothers and sisters. Did not Enoch just tell us about the giants? How they ate all the acquisitions of men, all the food that they can bring them. And when they couldn't bring enough food, what did the giants do? Begin to eat the men and themselves. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. We're talking about height. Verse 33, and there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. Anak, Anu, Naki. Do you see it? What the Bible is trying to tell you, the translator, he didn't put the Anunnaki in, he just put Anak. But it would be Anunnaki. This is a rendition on the walls in Mesopotamia of the serpent that came down from heaven. The serpent that was cast to the earth because he made war with Yahuwah. He came here and spread his seed. Now, there's something that we could be missing, because remember, this serpent creature was with Yahuwah for millenniums. He knew the secrets of the heavens. He knows what genetic manipulation is. Even though he knows all of these things, he still does not have the power or the ability of Yahuwah. Yahuwah is he who takes nothing and makes something. But the serpent, he takes what already has been created and makes it something else. Joshua chapter 13, verse 12. And all the kingdom of Og in Bashan, which reigned in Ashtaroth and in Edrei, who remained of the remnant of the giants, for these did Moses smite and cast them out. We have three witnesses. We have Moses, we have Enoch, and we have Joshua. All speaking the same thing, brothers and sisters. Humans, or the humans that Yahuwah created, are not the only bloodline that is upon this planet. So we've laid the foundation with the scripture. We know that there's a seed of the serpent, or Anak, Anunnaki, and the seed of the fallen ones. And it gave us all of their names. Do you think that this evidence is true? Remember, everything that has been hidden must be revealed. Continue to part 2. Shalom.